Good morning, Abby. How are you feeling today? Let's try that one more time. Modding Abby. Let's do it. Manage. Add moderator. Moderator. Blah, 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 blah. Settings. Moderators. Okay, I have to remove your old account before I can add your new account. Okay, I did it. Why did you delete your old account? Was someone being mean to you on the internet? My buckwheat is ready. You know, Abby, I think we took breaks at roughly the same time, so I didn't realize that your account had been gone. But I did miss you. Limited edition. I do know how to light myself flatteringly. I rather like the morning light coming in. Right, like, I could turn on some light here, I suppose. That doesn't make much of a difference. But, I light myself deliberately. You have no idea how many lights I have in this room. Should I show you? Why don't I show you? Why not? Look. You see all of those lighting fixtures? Well, it's just 2 of them, but there's many lights. Alright, a few more tones. I've gotten distracted. Alright, there we go. So, today, like most days, we will be saying the Shema, and V'ahavta, and we'll say Arati. I recently posted on the server at Kimmy's request links to texts of all of these prayers. So you can go check that out in the live stream channel if you want to read along. I don't know why I didn't do that like a year ago, but it's there now and they're pinned, so you can look at them whenever you like. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. Ve'ahavta et anat Elohecha ובכל לבבך, ובכל נפשך, ובכל מאודך, וחיו הדברים האלה, אשר נוחים מצווך, היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ולכתך, בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, וחיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך. What language am I speaking? Who knows? Who can tell Justin? Someone, please. V'chaya. Ki v'chaya Elohecha el ha'arz asher nispai lavatecha le'avram lischach ol Yaakov. Letet lach avrim litovot gud. Let me start that over. V'chaya. Ki v'chaya Elohecha el ha'arz asher nispai lavatecha le'avram lischach ol Yaakov. Letet lach avrim gedalot v'tovot asher lo vanita. Uvatim meleim kol tuva asher lemileta. Uverot hatzuvim asher lo hasatva. Keravim vizitim asher lo natata ve'alachta ve'shavata. Hishamer lecha pen tishchach et Yahweh asher tishacha mi'eretz Mitzrayim mibet avadim. No, it's Hebrew. I guess that's challenging for people who don't have any external experience with either of those languages besides right here. Like, to me, it's really obvious, like, the semantic Semitic differences, right? Like, the languages sound really, really different. Like, Hebrew has a lot of cha in it, right? Because it's a Semitic language. Whereas Arati, Sanskrit, it's an Indo-European language, right? So its A's are more familiar to us. But you know, I have my own educational biases. You speak Portuguese. Who knew? You do. I didn't know that. So, we can continue today reading from the Baal cycle. This very old story was found in the ruins of the city of Ugarit. Ugarit was a city on the Syrian coast in ancient Canaan. Canaan wasn't actually a nation, it was just a series of city-states. And Ugarit was one of the northernmost cities, and it was fairly powerful in its day. It was destroyed during the Bronze Age collapse. But prior to that, several hundred years before that, we received these tablets, or we didn't receive them back then, but there was a scribe. His name was Ilimiku. He was a servant of the king, and he wrote down these stories, which previously had been told orally. And the stories are about the divine family. You've got El, the father, and Asherah, the mother, and Baal, the son, and Anat, the daughter, right? So these are our four characters. And we also have the sea serpent, the foe to be vanquished. And the story is about the death and rebirth of Baal, right? So this is a predecessor to the Passover story. It's a predecessor to the Jesus story, right? They're the same mimetic pattern, changed and permuted over thousands of years. So in this story, it begins with a great banquet where Baal proclaims himself king, and the serpent says, nah, you're not king, I'm gonna be king. And then they have a fight, and Baal rips the serpent in half, like splitting the sea, and then drinks the sea serpent, drinks Judge River, and then says, all right, I'm the king. And then, as king, his first duty, his first proclamation, he says, give me a house. I want a house, right? So this is a story about the development of the institution of kingship, right? Like, kings are kings because they have the political capacity to command the construction of a palace. That's the claim in any case. So Baal wants a palace. He wants a house like the other gods. And they say, you should give gifts to your mother Asherah. And if you're nice to her, she'll give you a palace. So they give her some gifts. And then she says, okay, fine, you can have a house. And that's where we're at. And we will continue reading. I do like to keep you on your toes. Now, Baal will begin the rainy season, the season of the wadis in flood, and he will sound his voice in the clouds, flash his lightning to the earth. Let him complete his house of cedar. Let him construct his house of bricks. Let Baal the conqueror be commanded. Call a caravan into your house, a wagon train within your palace. The mountains will bring you much silver, the hills fine gold in abundance. The camels will bring you jewels. And build a house of silver and gold, a house of purest lapis lazuli. The Virgin Anat was glad. She stamped her feet and left the earth. Then she headed towards Baal on the heights of Mount Zaphon, 1,000 fields, 10,000 acres at each step. The Virgin Anat laughed. She raised her voice and shouted, I have good news for you, Baal. A house like your brother's will be built for you, and a court like your cousin's. Call a caravan into your house, a wagon train within your palace. The mountains will bring you much silver, the hills fine gold in abundance. And build a house of silver and gold, a house of purest lapis lazuli. Baal the conqueror was glad. He called a caravan into his house, a wagon train within his palace. The mountains brought him much silver, the hills fine gold in abundance. The camels brought him jewels. He sent messengers to Korthar Wahasses. Now go back to the passage. When the lads were sent, a note to the reader, the tablet of the formulaic passage now lost, describing the journey of Baal's messengers to Korthar Wahasses, their delivery of the message, and Korthar's journey to Baal. So you see, this story was very formulaic, right? It was repeated orally for hundreds, perhaps over 1,000 years, before it was translated down into the tablets that we have this form today. So it repeats itself, right? So I repeated this phrase about silver and gold and jewels and lapis lazuli like 3 times in the last page, right? Like, and that's deliberate. This old storytelling method, it uses repetition to enforce images into your mind. So Baal's gonna get a house. And that's nice. He's gonna get a temple on the Temple Mount where people can worship him and proclaim his divine kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is here at hand. So we'll leave it there. Tomorrow we will learn about how Baal's house gets built. What are we talking about? We're talking about old stories. Old stories. What's the oldest story you know, Felipe? Someone on Discord wants to join the stream. Let me reply to them. Okay. So, now, we will continue on. I don't want to pray to my maker, no, no. I just want to be feeling free. Not just who I am, but the pink in golden land, and that wide, wild sky over me. Help me to the sun, hey, I'm looking everywhere. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer, and I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray, we don't want to pray. pray, and it's not much good to talk, better to walk it. Ooh, not much good to take, better to give. We are done, forgiven, and forgotten of our sins, and I promise you, my friends, all that dies will live again. So pardon, God and Mom, what I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer, and I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray. We don't want to pray. Love Allah, Allah made love. And Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good. And Anat made bad. Elohim made love. And Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Love Allah. God made. But I don't want to pray to my Maker. I just want to be feeling free. Not like in a book, or the leaves of trees that shook from a word that means only not a thing. No, no. Pardon, God and Mom. What I'm saying isn't fair. See, I'm looking to become not the prayer, but the prayer, and I don't want to pray, no. I don't want to pray, no, no, no. I don't want to pray. We don't want to pray. I love Allah. Allah made love. And Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. Asher, Asher, made good. And Anat made bad. Elohim made love. And Yahweh, Yahweh made hate. I love Allah. God made me. Except that's a lie. None of those gods exist. They're just characters in old stories. Gilgamesh is older than Baal. That's true. The story of Gilgamesh is dated to something like 2,300 years ago. Baal is, 2,300 BC, so like 4,500 years ago. Baal is 3,500. No, I'm not Orthodox. What do I think it means to become the prayer? I actually interpret that phrase pretty literally, because I am a creature of the internet. Like, I think that what we are, right? Like, there's this old alchemical idea, right? If you look at Isaac Newton's writings, about like what he thought matter and spirit were, right? Like the basic alchemical idea is that there's two building blocks of the universe. There's matter and there's information. Spirit, information, I use those words synonymously. Like there's the material and the immaterial, right? And fundamentally they're the same thing, right? So like there was this alchemical idea that if you took the luminiferous ether, it was this infinitely small particulate matter that contained the seed of all life, right? If you compressed it enough, if you bent it into the right shapes, you could get living matter out of it. You could get substance. Right? So, like, when I think myself, not necessarily from an alchemical framework, but when I think about, like, what does it mean to be alive? Like, what does it mean to have this body, right? Have this body that's capable of reproducing? Like, what does it mean to have DNA inside each of my cells? What does it mean to be capturing my image in a cell phone, such that it gets transmitted through the Ethernet into your cell phone, into your eyes, into your mind, right? Like, I aspire to be pure information, basically, right? Like, I think that my body is impermanent, but the pattern that made this body will persist after me, whether or not I have children, right? That pattern is in each of us. But there are things that are unique to me, unique to my pattern, that I wish to have persist, right? So when I do this every morning, I'm literally trying to sublimate myself into prayer, right? Like I record every stream. I've been doing this for 8 years. When I'm 90 years old, I'm going to make a silly little time lapse that shows me when I was a teenage boy and a young woman in an old snake human. I don't know, right? Like, yeah, I literally seek to become prayer, right? Like the things that I will leave behind after this body is gone are the things that I say, right? The messages that I am able to associate with myself. So that's what I think of when I say those lines, right? Yeah, not the prayer, but the prayer. Palermo stone. I've heard of the Palermo stone, right? Like, that name rings a bell, but I don't actually know what's on it. What is on the Palermo stone? Do I believe in a God? That depends on what you mean by believe and what you mean by God. God is a social construct, right? The fact that we are talking about it means that I believe it because I understand the nature of the question, right? Like, we can have a human conversation about God, even if we disagree about the details. The fact that we can have that conversation, we're not speaking pure gibberish to each other, means that God exists in some sort of social way, right? A way that we can discuss. The Palermo stone is the lineage of the 5 Egyptian dynasties. Ah, yes. It's true. There are probably some Egyptian texts, like the Narmer palette, that are older than the story of Gilgamesh. Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I don't have my ancient chronology as well as I would like. Yeah, I've just been told that Gilgamesh is the oldest story, and I know enough dates that it checks out. Yeah, all those old Egyptian stones are... But, like, I believe that political power arose in Mesopotamia before it did in Egypt. Documented political power. I'm fairly confident of that. So who knows? What's the oldest story? What's the oldest writing? Blah, blah, blah. It's all about 5,000 years old. So, not the prayer, but the prayer, right? Like the person who wrote those stones. That person is long gone. Their name forever forgotten. Who knows what they looked like, right? Their physical form is gone, but some pattern that was in their mind is preserved in stone, in rock. And I think that's really beautiful, right? I think that's a really special thing that humans do. Old tombs. Nothing goes back before 7,000 years. Yeah. I mean, we have artifacts. Like, we have, like, like this. This is an artifact, a replica that I made from Kutalhayuk. So this is dated to around 8,000 years ago, right? It's not writing, but who are these ladies? What do they mean to one another?
They're lesbians.
They're bonded at the hip.
Kidding. They're probably not, but maybe they are.
I don't know. Right, and then this one is even older still. I made these replicas from a book called The Language of the Goddess. This one is like a little chode. Like, it's literally, like, it's phallic and it's, like, ladylike. It's got a little dimple at the top. It's it's a little inappropriate for TikTok. But this is dated to 23,000 years ago. Right, so, like, we've been making stuff for quite a long time. You got me the book. That's very kind of you.
I thought maybe you would.
I would.
Like,
yeah, so, okay, so here's the picture. Here's the picture in this archaeology book of this artifact, and it's to scale, so I made a scale model. You can see it's the same thing. Hey, little chode lady. They are the dollar beans, yes. Oh, yeah, Language of the Goddess. It's a good book. This book changed my life. Like, I read this book and I was like, oh my god, there are symbol systems before writing that we can understand if we pay enough attention. Holy crap. And then I made a bunch of artifacts because I wanted to experience the same physical sensations that old people experienced. Cab a sip?
That's why I came in.
Thank you.
Not to be the peanut gallery commentary. But to...
Yeah, you have a very good username, Jolie. It's really good.
What is it?
Holy guacajoli.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. They went to the same school that we did.
Oh, that's... Are they Jewish?
Yes.
And they were... You did a song... They played an instrument or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember.
Uh-huh. Virtual peanut gallery. I know. It's it brightens my day every day.
Am I not the only one of today?
Well, I mean, there's you, and then there's 25 people on the stream. It's a tiny stream, but they're all very friendly and nice and
quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
Just not TikTok's slogan, but
no.
Okay, bye, friend.
Bye. Okay, so now we're gonna do arati. Arati and then Kaddish. Have I had kombucha? I taught a class where I made a lot of kombucha. It was a fermentation class at my university, but I haven't had kombucha in a while. That was coffee. My partner brought me coffee. You had the wrong kind of kombucha? What? Did it make you a little tipsy? Yeah, throw back to when I had 300 people. There was a time I had 3,000 people saying that. But that was when I was posting viral videos. But you know, the numbers, they come and go. What did it taste like yesterday? Like vinegar? You just had like apple cider vinegar? Okay. So, the word arati means flame in Sanskrit. And we're going to say arati. Thank you for the cake. I appreciate it. Like fizz beer with guava. That doesn't sound that bad. I like guava. I like beer. But yeah, kombucha is absolutely an acquired taste. I've made some really bad kombucha that you just end up making vinegar and then you can add it to your salad. All right, here's our little flame. It's time for arati. I'm very distractible today. Have you noticed? Much more distractible than other days. I think that means I'm in a good mood. I'm talkative. It's been up and down these past few days. I'm almost done with this grant. I've got one more day of filming and then like 4 more days of editing. It's good. Okay. Jaya Jaya Arati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jaya Arati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Papa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Arati Venkanta Ramana Venkanta Ramana Sankata Harana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Jaya Jaya Arati Gauri Manohara Gauri Manohara Bhavani Sankara Samba Sadashiva Uma Maheshwara Jaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sundari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Arati Dattatreya Dattatreya Chimuttaravatara Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sankaracharya Sankaracharya Advaita Gravi Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda, Vishnu Devananda, Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye, Agastya Munaye, Shri Rama Priyaye, Jaya Jaya Arati Ayappa Swamine, Ayappa Swamine, Dharma Shastave, Jaya Jaya Arati Jesus Gurave, Moses Gurave, Buddha Gurave, Jaya Jaya Arati Muhammad Gurave, Guru Nanak Gurave, Samastya Guru Bho Namaha, Jaya Jaya Arati Avenugo Pala. Natatra Suyobati Natandra Karatam Nema Vidyobati Kutaya Magni Twameva Bantam Navanti Sarvam Tasya Basya Samritam Vivanti Om Yonge Kayamane Kai Govari Saraswati Narmade Siddhika Veriya Namastitam namo namaha. Tvameva mata, chapita tvameva, tvameva bandisha saka, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva, kayena vacha manasendriyarva, buddhyat manava prakrite sabhavat, karomi adyad mangalam harasmahi, Narayana iti sarmar payami. Sarvadharmam pravichaya mamikam savarnam vraja. Aham sva sarva papayo mokshayami masucha. Whatever actions I perform with my body, speech, mind, senses, my nature, my intellect, or my emotions, all these I dedicate to you. Jack, so what Dudette said is completely right. You could call it multi-denominational. I've never used that phrase in regard to myself before, but that's literally true. Like when I was a child, my parents brought me to multiple denominations, right? So they brought me to conservative synagogues, Orthodox synagogues, Reform synagogues, and also to Buddhist places, and specifically one Hindu ashram under the guru lineage of Shivananda. And so the prayers that I say every morning, they come from the Shivananda tradition, and they come from the American conservative Jewish tradition, with modifications, right? Like, as I got older and I started studying religious history, right, I found a need to go back deeper than any of the traditions that were given to me, right? Like the Hindu tradition that I taught is modern Hinduism, right? So Hinduism that was responding to Buddhism, so post-Siddhartha Hinduism that contained the triumvirate, like Shiva and Vishnu and Brahma, right? So like that kind of Hinduism is like roughly 2,000 years old. The same thing, Rabbinic Judaism, also roughly 2,000 years old. And so, like, I've been, in the last month or so, reading from the Baal cycle, which is 3,500 years old, because I think that it provides context to some of the more recent religions, which by now are also ancient. But, like, the timeline is important. So, right, that's my personal upbringing, right? Like, I know the things I know because my parents exposed me to them. And I bring them to you in this form because that's the form that's palatable to me. So, yeah. Good morning, Mama Bear. So, we have one more prayer. This prayer is called Kaddish. The word Kaddish is Hebrew, but it's a Semitic word, right? There are similar words in Arabic and any of the other Semitic languages. There were many cities in ancient Canaan named Kaddish. Who knows what the vowels were, but the consonants we can be fairly confident. QDS, right? And it's come to mean holy. Where is she? Here she is. Here's Kaddish, right? So this is an Egyptian depiction during the time when Egypt occupied Canaan, right? They adopted some Canaanite goddesses, right? So this is Kaddish. You can see she was a very sexy goddess. She rode a lion. She carried snakes. She aroused gods to her left and right. Right, so this word has a very old history. The history is much older than Judaism, and somehow it managed to find its way into my name. That is accidental. I married a nice Jewish girl. What am I going to do? No matter what, you always say Amen, Baruch Hu, etc. during Kaddish. Well, that's appropriate. Yeah. It's old words, and, you know, you had them drilled into you in a very particular format when you were little, same as I did. So that's how it goes. So we'll say Kaddish, a prayer of mourning, in recognition of all the suffering that exists for living creatures like you and me, right? To live is to suffer. To live is to die. And for the last 2,500 years, probably since the destruction of the first temple, our ancestors have been saying these words in response to death. Yid Gadal, Vid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah. Biama divrachute viam lichmal chute. Bechayachon uviumechon uvchayidikal be Israel. Bagala visman kari vimru. Amen. Yehe shemei rabam ev arch li'olam olmei olmaya. Vit barach yishtabach vit ba'ar vit ramam vit naseh. Vit hadar vit alei vit halal shemei de kudisha barichu. Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata diamiran biama vimru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'achol Yisrael vimru. Amen. O se shalom bimramav. Huya ase shalom. Aleinu v'achol Yisrael vimru. Amen. O say shalom bimramav, Huya say shalom aleinu, v'alechol Yisrael, v'imru, v'imru, amen. So I can show you a thing. I don't know if I've shown you all this little piece of paper that that has the mourner's Kaddish written on it. Of course I have it memorized, but sometimes I like to refer to the transliteration. And this particular little pamphlet was the pamphlet that was printed during my grandmother's funeral. Right? Esther Schoenfeld, February 22nd, 2020. She lived in Queens, right? I went to that funeral in February 2020. This was approximately a week before the world shut down, before New York City shut down with coronavirus. So I gotta say, she picked a really good time to die, right? Because otherwise she just would have been so isolated. She lived a long life, survived Auschwitz, did that. Typical story. Unusual, typical story. I don't know, right? So this is the piece of paper that I memorized Kaddish off of. When the pandemic started, I started saying Kaddish every day, in part because we said it so many times for her in the week prior to the pandemic, so it was in my mind. I don't know, that is what it is. Hello from Michigan. Hi, Miss Chandra. Good morning, Rain. So I'm going to eat a little bit of buckwheat now. Where is Queens? It's New York City. It's a borough in New York City. Where are you from, Erica? Thank you, Rain. Okay, I'm going to be back in 30 seconds with some buckwheat. Breakfast stream. You're sweet, Jolie. Yeah, it has been a while, Tricks for Frogs. It's been a real long time. It's nice. Every day for a month now I've been streaming and somebody comes in and says, "Oh, it's been a long time, I missed you." It's very heartwarming to know that I can take a break and y'all still remember me. You're from Mississippi. Okay, buckwheat. I'll be back in 30 seconds, promise. I'm in a particularly good mood today. I don't really know why. I didn't even notice until I started streaming and realized that I was talkative and enjoying y'all's company a lot. So long story short, I wrote this grant 2 years ago to make a documentary about seed saving with a friend of mine. And then we got the grant. We got $50,000 to make this documentary, and then we started fighting a lot. And working on the project became a nightmare for me. And it's a huge project. It's a 2.5-year-long project. And I've been editing all day, full time, for the last 6 months, since January, 5 months. And I have 4 more days of work on it. So I guess that's why I'm in a good mood. I don't know. But I got really depressed, like really, really depressed, because I had this huge project that I couldn't get out of, and working on it made me feel miserable. So I stopped streaming because I didn't have the I didn't have the emotional bandwidth to navigate this context. I started streaming again last month because I was feeling a bit better. And like, yeah, clearly I'm feeling better. But it's up and down, right? Like I was streaming the other day. Jolie, you were here. I was like, I'm in a terrible mood. Like I'm not well today. And I wasn't. Like that was a really hard day. So, you know, life has ups and downs, and live with them. And it's challenging to know, like, how do I communicate that to like a bunch of people on the internet, right? Like I know you care about me, but like I don't actually know what to do. So, you know, I get to be a full-time TikToker again next month, right? I had to take off 6 months to finish this grant project, but then I'm gonna do this again because I like this. Like I really do like this. So, yeah, that's my life. 6 months. You lived in Mexico for 3 years. I don't need to a lot of the time. Well, that's actually reassuring to hear. That's really reassuring to hear. Well, because I get so many comments like, where'd you go? I missed you. Which, like, is kind of nice to know that people care about me, but I also feel like I'm letting you all down by, like, literally not doing my job. So... Okay, I missed all of you. Like, whenever someone tells me that they miss me, like, I miss you back. But it's strange, because often the people telling me that they miss me, like, I don't know, like, Erica, I don't know what your face looks like. I know very little about your life. Now I know you're from Alabama, that you speak Spanish. You know. I don't know how to be a human, basically. That's the summary of it. I don't know how to be a human. Trying to figure it out. I've reached the conclusion somewhere along the way that to be a human means that I should tell little stories like this, but it would destroy you to make your job producing content. It's kind of destroyed me in certain ways. Like I don't know why I decided that this is what I wanted to do with my life. Like I decided it a while ago. I didn't realize the prices I'd be paying. Yeah. Sometimes TikTok can be really cruel. But also, I have all these friends that I get to eat breakfast with every day, right? Like, my partner was complaining to me last night that they don't like eating alone, and I don't like eating alone either, and yet I eat alone in my room most days. But I get to eat with all of you. It's like, it's really special. It's really, really special. The beginning of my username means here is, you are, in Latvian? Tiresias. Really? That's very interesting. I wonder how closely related Latvian is to Greek. It's just like due north, right? That's very interesting. I mean, yeah, I imagine there's a connection there. I can see a picture of you in your profile. Oh gosh, it's very tiny. Are you with a horse? Yes, that's you with a horse. Do I have a prayer for fear of death? Yes, I say it every day. It's called Kaddish. It's in my name. Because we all die. I live in constant fear of death. That is literally why I make content. I was talking about this earlier, right? Like I make content so I can turn myself into a prayer. Right? So I can transcend my physical form with all of its dysphoria and aches and pains, and become a pure mimetic creature. That's why I say Kaddish every day. You have horses and 2 sons. Thank you for telling me more about who you are, Erica. I really appreciate that. Like, I like getting to know you all. You had an existential crisis surrounding fear of death a few years ago. And what did you do? You started community organizing? That sounded dismissive. I don't actually mean that in a dismissive way. Like, he took acid and saw time as a spiral instead of a line and remembered that nothing matters. That sounds like a quick fix. I mean, LSD can be a pretty like, pinpointed, life-changing experience, right? Like, turned me into a woman. Like, hands down, turned me into a woman. So, I don't doubt you. Latvian is an Indo-European language and believed to share heritage with Sanskrit. Yeah, right, and Greek is an Indo-European language too, right? So Tiresias, as far as I know, is a Greek name. So I wonder what it means in Greek, and what the linguistic connections is to, like, the story of Tiresias is like roughly 2,000 years old, maybe 3,000 years old. It's difficult to date these things, right? So I wonder how that period of ancient Greece influenced modern Latvian culture. I have no idea. Thank you, Grandpa Bubba. I am eating buckwheat this morning. I've added a new grain to my repertoire. I have another mason jar full of grain over there on the shelf. Buckwheat doesn't perform too well in the rice cooker. Like, it gets a little mushy. Like, when I cook buckwheat, I prefer to toast it because then it maintains some of its texture. And it's mealy. But, yeah, it's diversity. I got really bored of rice. I was eating just rice for like 2 years. And then I added quinoa and now buckwheat. It is 9:45 a.m. for me. I live on the east coast of North America. I mean, if I didn't have these other grains, I would still be eating rice. Like, I like eating grains in the morning. Like, a lot of Americans do oatmeal. Like, this is basically oatmeal. It says Tiresias means a blind seer. I mean, sure. That's literally true. There's a blind seer named Tiresias. You did miss that. Feisty hedge creature. I'm in breakfast time now. I put on it olive oil and soy sauce. Windex, I don't have students right now, but I will in about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, yeah. I'm teaching an online class on digital storytelling, which is academies for making TikToks. Yeah, it's absurd. Binghamton University is paying me a few $1,000s to teach a bunch of undergraduates how to make TikToks. So that's what I'm doing. If you want to take the class, it's all online. You can audit it. Just send me a message on Discord. Yeah. So, you're graduating in 9 days. Gosh, congratulations. I had a story in my mind that you had graduated early and that you were already working for Facebook. But I guess that is not true, and you're still in Boston. But congratulations. Gosh. So, when it was 9 days before my graduation, you're working for IBM. Clearly, I do not know enough about your life. When I was at Tufts, 9 days before my graduation, I was like writing this viral video that I had made. I made this viral video about a dumpster kitchen that I wanted to start, and I rented an apartment on Powderhouse Circle. For Warner, right, is the place that's like right on the edge of campus, like right on the circle. And I was gonna start a commune there. I didn't have the language at the time. I called it a restaurant. I raised a bunch of money on Kickstarter, and then like we moved in a few days early, because the students who were moving out said that they would let us move in early, but then they called the landlord and told them that we were moving in a bunch of kitchen equipment, and we got evicted. Right, like, yeah, it was a hell of a ride. It was traumatic. Like, yeah, one of the most traumatic experiences I've ever had was getting evicted from that apartment like a week after we moved in, and I guess that was 12 years ago. No, it was 2013, so 9 years ago. Yeah, funny times. I hope your graduation goes well. I trust that you won't get evicted from your apartment. You're gonna go work in it. Where are you working for IBM? IBM in Boston? IBM in IBM's everywhere. IBM in Binghamton? No, that's the place where I am. There's an IBM place there, but Chicago. You're from Chicago, right? Yeah, I thought so. Cool. All right. Well, I should go. This was a really nice morning. Like, it's really nice to be able to smile at you all and to honestly say that I'm in a good mood. I'm gonna edit some video now. And then I'm gonna cook Shabbat dinner for my family. So I hope you have a lovely day. And I will see you. Will I see you tomorrow? I may very well see you tomorrow. We'll see. Okay. Farewell.